Hey guys, for today I'm going to show you more of my Minecraft city, starting with this stadium here. If you remember, at the end of the second part, we finished the tour in the center of the city, and I just crossed this river to arrive here. So today I'm going to show you various skyscrapers, an industrial and military district, a ship too, but I'm starting with this stadium or arena inspired by buildings of the antiquity in Greece or in Rome. And here, as in many other buildings of the city, the neoclassical inspiration is rather strong, present. You enter the stadium with this little door here, and you arrive in a massive oval-shaped arena with statues like that, who were inspired by the movie A.S.M.R that I saw when I was a kid, and actually I looked at pictures later, and the stadium is not that impressive in the movie, but still the idea, as you see with this aerial view, was to build something extremely monumental. And there are several eagles, which, if you remember, are the symbols of the city. And eagles such as this one, it doesn't really show here, but the stadium is partly dug inside the mountain, and here the fun part was to do all the engineering to get this shape and this regularity. You have various neoclassical decorations like this, you see, and these big statues at the center of the arena. I get quite a lot of questions to know how to build things that look good, and maybe the best tip is to build something big if you want it to look good, because it helps you add details. All these statues have their story too. They were inspired by a movie I loved when I was a kid called The Never-Ending Story. It's a movie from the 80s, I think, and there was an oracle in this movie looking just like that, and I reproduced that right in the center of the stadium. So now I'm doing a little tour of it to let you see how it is made. And another detail that may be worth a look are these chariots here that are not symmetrical. This was made to give a bit of a baroque sense to the building, with these horses carrying a chariot. This is another eagle. This one we made based on the symbol of Imperial Russia, the double-headed eagle. Okay, that was was the stadium, so now I'm going to show you a more modern part of the city. There are several zeppelins, such as this one in the sky of the Imperial City. They're quite simple, in fact. You see, the cabin is made of glass and there are wooden seats inside. And in this part of the city I'm going to show you, you've got the highest buildings we made. And another little tip when you want to make big fires that look good is to make a pyramid like this, of this rock that can burn eternally. Don't remember how it's called. And when you add fire to it, it looks much better than just a flat fire. So here there is another large building I'm going to show you, but first I'm going to start with these statues. I wanted to make winged lions. They look more like cats in reality, but still, these are maybe the statues I prefer among the ones I made. And they sit on top of the two ends of this giant mix of bridge and building, which is inspired by plans made for a building in Moscow 60 years ago during the presidency or the reign of Stalin. And sorry, the left part is not loading correctly. And he had asked architects to design very massive and impressive buildings as a way to show off and impress the people, show them the power of the communist regime. And this is one of the buildings that had been imagined but never built, and we reproduced it here. This part of the city contains various references to Moscow, to London, New York City and Chicago as well. Here another example of statues with these warriors. And this building I quickly showed you last time on the right was based on the University of Moscow, also made under Stalin, when there has been plenty of these neo-classical and communist buildings made in Russia, in Poland. You have another one in Warsaw too, or in Romania. And this, I mentioned London, is a revisited version of the MI6 building that you can see maybe in James Bond movies. But here we've been really decorating it to transform it into a large religious building. And you've got other skyscrapers. They never exactly represent existing ones, but they are inspired by buildings in Chicago and New York City. And here another example of that, a Gothic skyscraper, and I think this is the highest building in the entire city, It has no interior, but we're going to slowly rise to the top. So as you see, the facade is heavily decorated with the kind of Gothic inspired decorations that were used in the 1930s or 1940s, and this was supposed to be like an airport for zeppelins, but the building was not completed. You see there are zeppelins approaching. So here we are at the maximum height possible, and then there are more buildings of the same kind. I'm going to put more light based on these Art Deco or modern style buildings that were made in the 1930s or 1940s and until the 50s in communist countries. So now we are returning towards the center and leaving this sector. This is an old Gothic tower. I'm going to show you this facade of the university, which is I think my second biggest building in Minecraft after the Winter Palace that we saw last time. So as usual, it takes time to load, and this is directly inspired by this University of Moscow, but I added more details and these big statues that obviously are not part of the original, and from the top of it there's a quite nice view of the entire district, but once again there would be way too much lag if I extended our vision. So this part we saw last time, this district inspired by Venice, but I didn't show you these facades here. This is the stadium in front of us, and we're going to follow this arm of the river to go to the industrial and military district of the city, which is protected by a big wall, starting with this tower here on the right. There is also a destroyer here, the War Museum on the left that we visited last time too, and the entrance of this district is this big door here with a statue on top inspired by the Lord of the Rings movies, and we are entering a quite different part of the city now, made of factories. It's partly unfinished, I apologize for that, but the outside has been detailed with this accumulation of sand and goods. Here you have a crane on factories have been inspired by the early factories that were made in Britain in particular. So there is not much to see inside this one, only this little production chain that I made, but the inside would need to be much more detailed. So you see liquid metal is falling from here, and then it is going to be transported. This chain has been inspired by the last Star Wars movies. I can't remember exactly which episode. And then the metal falls into this big tank here. It receives other ingredients before being pressed here and finally cooled down in this facility just by adding water from this other tank, and it comes out under the form of solid iron or steel. You see the inside where cold water and liquid steel are being mixed. There is another factory just on the side, which is a tank factory, and here the tanks, the chassis, I think it's called, are being assembled with the turrets that arrive like this, and these moving cranes help the workers make the tanks before they come out of the production chain and wait in front of the factory. Okay, this part behind is largely unfinished here. Others had started a fortress, but it's only partly completed. There is just this entrance, and the main building is missing. As you see, it's totally empty behind. And here we are arriving to another fortress, which is dug inside the mountain, into the mountain, with these openings, and here you have a giant gun on railroads. This was a secondary entrance. This is the main entrance of the fortress. So you have these massive doors, another eagle, and this blue-white flag is the flag of the city. So I wanted to do plenty of these domes like this, something that would have looked like Jabba the Hutt's lair in Star Wars, another reference that we used several times in the city, but there is only one dome. I never finished that particular project. This is the eagle I mentioned before, and there is yet another entrance of the fortress here, which is a hall for war zeppelins. This is much bigger than the ones we saw before. That's the war model, with these little cranes for maintenance, and the doors zeppelins are coming out. Well, that was the military and industrial part of the city. But as I said before, this has stayed largely unfinished. And here, the same for this antique fortress, ancient fortress, and this little medieval district which has not been really completed. But if we continue in that direction, we are returning to the old city that we visited in the first video, if you remember. So this has been finished, and I'm going to continue to follow the river to take you to the lighthouse and the ancient ship that we built in front of the city. All of that we saw in the first video. You remember the museum? That was the first building we visited. So, bit of light again. Here, the Winter Palace. And now, in front of the city, I'm going to show you a big ship from the 17th until 18th century, which is supposed to be quite impressive. I'm not talking about this one. Here the landscape becomes more natural. This is the lighthouse of the city. I'm going to show you the inside. It was inspired by the lighthouse of Alexandria. This is the front of the ship of the line I'm going to show you. And you see there is this big statue showing to the ships that arrive the way to the city. So inside you have wooden stairs and this system to make wood rise to the top of the lighthouse and to burn it. And here you have a bit of machinery. So we're going to arrive inside the dome at the top of the lighthouse and come out on top of it. So here we go. We need to open this trapdoor and we reach the top where the fire is indicating the coast to the ships. And this is how the top of the fire of the lighthouse looks like from the outside. You see this kind of columns can be quite useful to suggest a round-shaped building, which is always a bit difficult in Minecraft. And that's the general look of the building. So now to conclude, I wanted to show this ship that I did not do myself. It's my brother who made it. But this is a reproduction of a ship of the line of the end of the 17th century, called the Soleil Royal, the Royal Sun, and it was the admiral ship of the French Royal Fleet at this time. And maybe we didn't have the most powerful navy or the most successful navy in the world, least we knew how to decorate our ships, and this ship may have been one of the best looking ever built. It was heavily covered with decorations made of gold, and when it sunk, I can't remember the year, but it sunk, I think, in the last years of the 17th century off the coast of Brittany. A massive quantity of gold and artistic treasures were lost. But anyway, you see how to make these ancient ships, and here you clearly have to forget the symmetry, otherwise your ship is going to look too stiff for flags too. I didn't show you many flags in the city, but this is quite easy to make, and it makes much better looking flags than just doing something rectangular. And let's have a look at the back of the ship. We've been trying to reproduce this abundance of gold in the decoration. So that's about it. I think I'm done with the visit of the Imperial City. There are other things that I could show you, but the main monuments we visited already, and maybe I could make one or two tutorial videos in Minecraft if you want, but that was basically what I wanted to show you. So I hope you enjoyed, and see you soon.